Chapter 2. And Solomon counted out 70,000 men to bear burdens, and 80,000 men that were hewers in the mountains, and 3,600 to oversee them. And Solomon sent to Hiram, the king of Tyre, saying, As you didst deal with David my father, and didst send him cedars to build him a house to dwell therein, even so deal with me. Behold, I am about to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, to dedicate to him, and to burn before him incense of sweet spices, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the appointed seasons of the Lord our God. This is an ordinance forever in Israel. And the house which I build is great, for great is our God above all gods. But who is able to build him a house? Seeing the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain him, who am I then, that I should build him a house, save only to offer before him? Now therefore send me a man skillful to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in iron, and in purple, and crimson, and blue, and that hath skill to grave all manner of gravings, to be with the skillful men that are with me in Judah and Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. Send me also cedar trees, cypress trees, and sandalwood out of Lebanon, for I know that your servants have skill to cut timber in Lebanon. And behold, my servants shall be with your servants, even to prepare me timber in abundance, for the house which I am about to build shall be great and wonderful. And behold, I will give to your servants, the hewers that cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil. Then Hiram, king of Tyre, answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, Because the Lord loves his people, he hath made you king over them. Hiram said moreover, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who hath given to David the king a wise son, endued with discretion and understanding, that should build a house for the Lord, and a house for his kingdom. And now I have sent a skillful man, endued with understanding, even Hiram my master craftsman, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan. And his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold, and in silver, in brass, in iron, in stone, and in timber, in purple, and blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of graving, and to devise any device, to do whatever may be set before him, with your skillful men, and with the skillful men of my lord David your father. Now therefore the wheat and the barley, the oil and the wine, which my lord hath spoken of, let him send unto his servants, and we will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as you shall need, and we will bring it to you in floats by sea to Joppa, and you shalt carry it up to Jerusalem. And Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Israel, after the numbering wherewith David his father had numbered them, and they were found 150,000, and 3,600. And he set 70,000 of them to bear burdens, and 80,000 to be hewers in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers to set the people at work. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now we remember yesterday Solomon took the kingdom, and David had turned the kingdom over to David. Solomon's the king now. And we'll pick it up here in verse 1. And Solomon counted out 70,000 men to bear burdens, and 80,000 men that were hewers in the mountains, and 3,600 to oversee them. And Solomon, he counts out, and what he's doing, he's going to divide. We'll find out. These are going to be the strangers in the land. These are all those that are not of Israel. They are not Hebrews. These are the strangers, or those that have come there to sojourn. And these 70,000 men, we'll find that's 70. 3 is to complete, score or 20. Score is 20. And that is to 2 tens, or to witness the law, or even redemption. See? And these 70, this complete redemption, and the law in its fulfillment. These 10 is the law. 1,000 its fulfillment. Men to bear these burdens, and we'll find these burdens are something you have to carry, something that has to be carried. and 80,000 men that were hewers in the mountains. And these 80,000 men that were hewers, that means they hewed trees, they brought down trees, and these trees are those things that are exalted. Fourscore, because it's the work of God in redemption. It's the work of God of redemption, even the fulfillment. And these 3,600 to oversee them. This is for the complete redemption and its fulfillment, and this work of man in judgment that does oversee them. 2. And Solomon sent to Hiram the king of Tyre, saying, As you did deal with David my father, and did send him cedars to build him a house to dwell therein, even so deal with me. So Solomon now, he writes a letter, and he writes it off to the king of Tyre, and this Molech of Iraq, and his name is Hiram. Hiram means the noble, or those of nobility, the ones they are of nobility, and it's referring to the kings or the exalted ones. 3. Behold, I am about to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, to dedicate to him and to burn before him incense of sweet spices, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the appointed seasons, for the Lord our God. This is an ordinance forever to Israel. And it was an ordinance forever that it should be kept, even in the tabernacle, the tent. And we'll find that Solomon is going to build a house, and that house is going to kind of take place of that tent for this purpose of to dedicate to God, even to burn before him this incense of sweet spices. That mixture that was given to the Levites by recipe and by weight, this sweet incense, and that which makes a sweet odor before the Lord, or a sweet savor even, for a continual showbread. And that continual showbread is that bread that's set before God to show that there's understanding in God's law, because that represents the law that God gives you that nourishes body and soul. And for the burnt offerings morning and evening. And these burnt offerings, even for these things that shall make atonement, even these things that pass through the fire morning and evening. And that's when the sun comes up and as the sun goes down. On the Sabbath, these are those days of rest that God declared that you shall keep his Sabbaths, that they are hallowed. That means they belong to God, and you shall keep them. It's a rule. It's actually a commandment to keep the Sabbath of the Lord. And on the new moons, these new moons is when the moon changes in its course. Even the new moon changes to the next new moon. The new moon is a period of time, even this light that rules over the darkness, a period of time that has a dark period, goes to a great lighted period, and then it returns back to the darkness from which it came. And on the appointed seasons of the Lord, these are the appointed seasons of God that he appointed even in the beginning, and it was an ordinance forever in Israel. 4. And the house which I build is great, for great is our God above all gods. And this house which Solomon was going to build was great. It was beautiful, it was magnificent, it had reached a height, we'll find out even at that period of time. And Solomon says, For great is our God above all gods, for great is God, because there simply are no others. Even these other not gods have been manufactured by men by the work of God. 5. But who is able to build him a house, seeing the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain him? Who am I then that I should build him a house, save only to offer before him? But who is able to build God a house? Who is able to build God a dwelling place, seeing the heaven of heaven, and the heaven of heavens cannot contain him, seeing that understanding itself, and even the understanding of all understandings, cannot contain God, because he is from whom all understanding flows. Who am I then that I should build him a house, a place to dwell, except only to offer before him? That it's only there to make these offerings and these atonements and these examples of understanding before God, that a house could be built for God. 6. Now therefore send me a man skillful to work in gold and silver and brass and iron, and in purple, crimson, and blue, and with skill to grave all manner of gravings, to be skillful men, and with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. Now therefore send me these skillful men, a man that is skillful to work in gold, and this gold is all those things that belong to God, all these things that belong to God anyway, and in silver, and in these things that will be passed through the fire, this brass, this cold darkness, and this iron, these rules, these laws of men, and in purple and crimson and blue, all these are colors of royalty. These are colors of royalty and greatness. These are dyed colors. These are colors that are not true. These are colors that have been made that. And with me hath skillful to grave all manner of gravings. These engravings or these carvings, these things that are to represent, to show, to be a similitude, even engraved, carved, made to last. Even these skillful men that are to be with, even these skillful men that are with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. And with these skillful men that are in this place of praisings and in this city of peaceful teachings, Jerusalem, whom David the beloved my father did provide. 7. Send me also cedar trees and cypress trees and sandalwood out of Lebanon, for I know that your servants have skill to cut timber in Lebanon, and behold, my servants shall be with your servants. Now send me also these cedar trees, these evergreen, these cypress trees as well, and sandalwood, all cedar trees, all evergreens, these everlasting, these trees that have made to last for a long time, even these exalted things, out of Lebanon. Lebanon is white, that which is made white. For I know that your servants have skill to cut timber in Lebanon. And these are those that can hew trees. These are ones that can cut timber. And let your servants shall be with my servants. They'll work together. 8. Even to prepare me timber in abundance, for the house which I am about to build shall be great and wonderful. Even to prepare these timber, and these timber are these trees that are hewn, these trees that have grown in the forest, these trees that represent those things that are exalted even in the forest. Now the mighty ones are hewn down to build this house of God. 9. And behold, I will give to your servants, the hewers that cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 bats of wine, and 20,000 bats of oil. And behold, now I will give to your servants, these hewers that cut timber, these ones who go forth to the forest to bring forth the hewn trees, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures, because 20 is redemption. It's there to witness the law in work. See, when we witness the law of God working in the earth, that's redemption. God's showing you, I'm working here. 20,000 measures. And this is the redemption and the fulfillment being measured out of this beaten wheat, this wheat that has to be thrashed, this that from the harvest that is thrashed and beaten wheat. And that's what this wheat represents, that first harvest even, the beginning in the harvest, this 20,000 measures of our barley, that even the redemption being of the fulfillment measured out in the barley. That's when we witness the sign that the harvest begins. This barley, even that's the very, very first harvest that shows the beginning of the year, even when the barley reaches its full, and this 20,000 baths of wine. And because it's for redemption and the fulfillment, even for this bath is a liquid measure. It is a measure of liquid, or that which represents understanding even of this wine. This wine is that wine that has been fermented so that it could be stored or saved. And it takes on a slightly different effect than the fresh wine. And this 20,000 baths of oil, even there is redemption, fulfillment, in this baths being poured out of this oil, even that which anoints. 10. Then Curam, the king of Tyre, answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, Because the Lord loves his people, he hath made you king over them. Now, Curam, who is those of nobility, he is the king of Tyre, this Molech of the rock, and he answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon. He sent this letter back to Solomon, saying, Because the Lord loves his people, he hath made you king over them. And because God loves his people, he has made Solomon king over them. We'll find out this is slightly different than the actual understanding that comes. God gave them a king in his anger because they would not obey God's law. They would not do as God said. They wanted a king like everybody else had a king. They didn't want God to be king. Samuel makes this all very clear. That's why God gave them a king. 11. Curam said, moreover, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who hath given to David the king a wise son, endued with discretion and understanding, that should build a house for the Lord, a house for his kingdom. And moreover, Curam wrote in this letter, saying, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, that made heaven and earth, because God did make heaven and earth, everything in earth, that of flesh, and everything in the heavens, all that of understanding, God created. And he had given to David, the king, a wise son, and this is Solomon. He was the son that come forth from the beloved. And he endued him with discretion and understanding. And this is what we found out, that Solomon had asked for understanding and knowledge and wisdom to be a judge before God's people, that should build a house, even a house for God, and a house for his kingdom. 12. And now I have set a skillful man, endued with understanding, even Curam, my master craftsman. And now this skillful man that is endued with understanding, even Curam, having the same name as the king, Curam, because it means the same, these of nobility, these are the master craftsmen, these exalted ones even that are going to be the master craftsmen. 13. The son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold, and in silver, in brass, in iron, in stone, in timber, in purple, and blue, and fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of graving, and to devise any device, to do whatever may be set before him with your skillful men, and with the skillful men of my lord David your father. And this son of a woman, this is Curam, his master craftsman. He's the son, that which comes forth of a woman, from man, of the daughters, this understanding of Dan the judge. And his father, the one who he came forth from, was a man of Tyre, this man of the rock. He was skillful in the work, in gold, that which belongs to God, and in silver, in this which has to be refined and passed through the fire, in brass, that which is mingled in, even this cold darkness, in iron. And that's the representation of the rules, this rule of man, even this yoke of man he puts on you. And in stone, that which is set in stone, even this law of God. And in timber, that which has to be hewn and sawn and cut. In purple and blue and fine linen and crimson, this is all that which is fine linen, that which is woven finely, and that it's tightly woven, this purple, blue, and crimson. These is all the royal colors, this coloring of royalty mingled in. Also to grave any manner of graving, to devise any device, and that means to create or design anything, make anything, these engravings, even all these things that are going to last, these things that are cut into, made to stay. Whatever be set before him, anything, he can do anything. 14. Now therefore the wheat and the barley, the oil, the wine, which my Lord has spoken of, let him send unto his servants. And now go ahead and send this barley, once again, that which, as it changes colors, we can witness the full beginning, that which tells us the harvest is ready, because it changes color, this oil, even that anointing, and the wine, that wine, even that which is fermented, caused to stay, that wheat and dust caused to make drunk, which my Lord has spoken of. Let him send to his servants. Go ahead and send it to the servants. This is their pay. This is what they would be paid, is with this oil, this wine, this barley, this wheat. 15. And we will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as you shall need, and we will bring it to you in floats by sea to Joppa, and you shall carry it up to Jerusalem. Go ahead and send the payment, and we'll put the men to work. We'll cut the wood. We'll get it all ready. We'll send it down to Joppa. And Joppa is this place. It's not beautiful. It doesn't mean beautiful. It means this beauty, even that shining with, or to make this beauty. It's shining with beauty, or something to make it shine with beauty. It's kind of like putting some makeup on it to make it look more beautiful. And you shall carry it up to Jerusalem. You shall carry it from there up to the place of the peaceful teachings. 16. And Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Israel, after the numbering wherewith David his father had numbered them. And they were found 150,000 and 3,600. And Solomon numbers all these the strangers, all these that sojourn there, that had come there to live. See, then we know the law of God says that you shall treat them just as one that's homeborn. It's one law for all. It's the same law for the stranger as those that sojourn among you, is what God said, is for those that the law was given to even in the beginning. You shall not make a difference. And we'll find out here, though, that Solomon's going to take up these strangers. He's going to make servants out of them, as would be to put it lightly. And he numbers them. He counts them out, just like David did. And they were found 150,000. And this would be a sum of part of them, this 150,000 here, because it's the judgment. And that is the grace in the law of the fulfillment. See, judgment is grace. And 3,600. 3,000 because it's going to complete the fulfillment. And 600, even this work of man that's in judgment. 17. And he set 70,000 of them to bear burdens, and 80,000 to be hewers in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers to set the people at work. And he did set this 80, because it is the complete redemption in this, and the law of fulfillment. Even to witness it, it should be the completion of the law of them, even to bear these burdens, to carry these things that have to be carried. And 80,000, that's the work of God in fulfillment. Even the work of God, that you witness the law in fulfillment. These are the hewers in the mountains, and these are the ones that hew down these exalted ones of the forest, these mighty ones of the forest, and they prepare them. And 3,600, once again, it's to complete this fulfillment. Even the work of man that's going to be judged, see. And these were the overseers that set the people to work. These were your taskmasters, they could be called. These were the ones who would overwatch even this complete fulfillment, because it's going to be the judgment of the work of man. We're going to pick this up in chapter 3. Turn and return.